Okay guys, I'm here for another retro review. Today we were revisiting our friends at the WWF/WWE. And I chose a very particular show to review today. A show that most people know is remembered for one match, and you could argue one historic moment in the annals of WWE history. I'm referring to No Mercy 1999. No Mercy 1999 is a very interesting show that, to me, is really a two-match show. Some people say it's a one-match show because of one particular match is the most memorable, but there is another match that's somewhat good on it. So how good is the overall show? This is an Attitude Era pay-per-view, and the problem with the Attitude Era is 99 is the worst year of it, obviously, but near the end of 99 is when the pay-per-view somewhat started getting good, but the WWE hadn't reached the peak yet until the year 2000 when it came to good quality shows every month for pay-per-views. That was in the year 2000, where the pay-per-views matched Raw. So, No Mercy 1999 took place on October the 17th, 1999, from the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. This is, I think, what became the Quicken Loans Arena. The Quicken Loans Arena, I think. Could be wrong. There are 9 matches on this card, so our maximum star rating is 45. Opening contest is the Godfather versus Mideon in a match that was made on Sunday Night Heat. It's not as bad as it could have been. This match could have been really bad, but it's not. It's not good by any stretch of the imagination, but there are some good moments in it. I mean, it's a 1-star match. Godfather wins after a roll-up from the Hoe Train, so he didn't even use his Death Valley Driver pimp drop move. He won because of the Hoe Train. That's interesting. Like I said, 1 star, not bad, but... So then we get the WWE Women's Championship match. Ivory versus 70-plus-year-old Fabulous Moolah. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against the Fabulous Moolah, but let's be completely and honest here. This is a young, probably late 20s, early 30s Ivory, and she's being challenged by 70-plus-year-old Fabulous Moolah for the WWE Women's Championship. And the match isn't good. And I think it's because of Moolah's age, Ivory has to slow this match down. Okay, Ivory has to slow this match down, because this match only goes about 2 minutes. And Ivory dominates most of the match until Moolah gets a really surprise roll-up and wins the match. Now, I get for nostalgia you gave the woman's title to Fabulous Moolah, but let's be completely honest here. I know Lou Fez wrestled into his 70s sometimes, but they didn't give him a championship. Now, I know that Moolah lost the championship, I think either the next day or a couple days or a week later. Moolah should not have won this match. What Moolah should have done is put Ivory over, because that would have helped Ivory far more than anything else Ivory ever did. This is probably the single biggest thing Ivory's had to work with. Not many people get to work with a Hall of Famer for, in their career. So this is a big spot that Ivory was in, and the WWE gave the Women's Championship to 70-year-old Fabulous Moolah, who really should not have been in the ring. I'm sorry, she shouldn't have. It just shows. Because, Father Time catches up with people. No stars. This match isn't even good enough to get a half a star. It's nothing. So then we get the New Age Outlaws versus Hardcore and Crash Holly the Hollies, and what was supposed to be a WWE Tag Team Championship match up until the SmackDown before this, when the Hollies, for some inexplicable reason, cost the New Age Outlaws the tag team championships. Now let's think about that from a practical standpoint. Okay, from a practical standpoint here. If you know you have a tag team championship match coming at a pay-per-view, why then would you cost the champions the tag team titles? Because then all you do is you then have a non-title match when you had a tag title match. You end up turning it into a... See, that's the thing about the Holly tag team that I never got. They never thought logically about anything they did. Okay, they took this match that was originally scheduled as a tag team championship match, and in the storyline they cost the New Age Outlaws the whole tag team titles to go along with the Rock and Sock Connection on their last team up winning the tag titles, which I perfectly get. But in the concept of would you do that logically? No, you would not do that logically. As far as the match goes, okay match. It was a 2-star match, but I think the finish is really, really stupid. And so I took an entire half a star off of that, because the finish is Hardcore Holly goes out, gets this chair, slides it into Crash, and Billy Gunn hits a Famouser on Crash onto the chair and gets disqualified when he never used the chair, and it was just practicality that he hit the Famouser and Crash just happened to fall on the chair. And the DQ happens. Now, I've seen some dumb DQs. I've seen TNA do dumb DQs. I've seen TNA do DQs in matches that don't have disqualifications. Okay, but this is one of the stupidest DQs I've ever seen. And I still don't even get what the point of this was. Honestly. I think the Hollies ended up winning the tag team championships the next night from the Rock and Sock Connection because of something involving Mick Foley's booker or something in the storyline. But this finish, I didn't get it. So 1.5 stars. So then we get probably the memorable moment or historical moment from this match. From this pay-per-view. This is a historical thing. It's the Good Housekeeping match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. What's a Good Housekeeping match? Well, the match is Jeff Jarrett versus Chyna. Now, Jeff Jarrett this time was doing this whole basic sexist angle, where he didn't believe where he basically believed the sexist thing that a woman's place is in the kitchen or barefoot and pregnant. Because that's what most people who are sexist to the opposite sex, that's what most men who, that's what some guys think when you're not about the opposite sex. Now, granted, this is probably 30 or 40 years. Jarrett was probably living in the 1940s in his angle, but it does at least go to some sexism in the world. So, at Unforgiven, these guys had a match, and I'll probably review that too, where Chyna won, but then got DQ'd because the head scab referee reversed the decision, and I'll get to the scab referees if I ever get to Unforgiven 99, because that's an entire story all in itself. So this is the rematch, and basically everything that would be used around the house, meaning a household appliance, is legal. Bear that in mind, because that comes into play with the finish of this match. This is really a 1-star match. Now, it's an entertaining match. It's a really funny match. But as a wrestling match, it's a 1-star match. Because it's basically weapon shot, weapon shot, weapon shot, weapon shot, funny spot, weapon shot, weapon shot. There's people breaking pies. Flour goes in Jeff Jarrett's face. Chyna tries to do a pedigree on a cake. Jeff Jarrett then drops her on the cake and slingshots her into Teddy Long. Jeff Jarrett then has Miss Kitty hand him the Intercontinental Championship. He uses the IC title, gets the 3 counts, is about to leave, but then Teddy Long says that he's not the winner because the Intercontinental Championship is not a household appliance. Okay, fair enough. So while Jeff Jarrett is trying to put the figure 4 on Teddy Long, Chyna gets Jeff Jarrett's guitar and hits Jeff Jarrett over the head with his own guitar and wins the title that way. Now, even in the context of storyline, this makes no sense in the match. I know this was Jarrett's final WWF match, and he left right after it, and he dropped the title to Chyna because of that. Okay, I know that. But if Jeff Jarrett can't win the match with Vaughn using the IC title, because the IC title is not a household appliance that you would use around the house, then how then is a guitar legal in this match? See, this is the kind of weird booking that the Attitude Era has, where the perceived heel in the match can use something illegal and the match gets reversed, but the face does it and it's okay. Because Chyna's essentially playing the face in this match, even though she was still Triple H. It's an interesting dichotomy and dynamic. The finish of that match makes no sense. Okay, it makes no sense if Jeff Jarrett can't use the IC title because it's not a household appliance, then Chyna should not be able to get a win off a guitar. It's just the way things go. You know? Like I said, entertaining match, 1 star, really stupid finish, but a 1-star match nonetheless. Like I said, Jeff Jarrett basically left the WWE, and he went to WCW because Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo basically let him have the WCW Championship, which is half the reason that Jeff Jarrett left the company. From my knowledge, Jeff Jarrett left the WWF at this point because they basically told him, you're never going to get the WWF Championship because you're not over enough. And due to the fact that every time he was a WCW champion, he never helped draw ratings there or anything for that, Vince was right. Jeff Jarrett was just butthurt. Okay? Jeff Jarrett was just upset because he feels as a promoter's son, he should have been higher on the card than he always was, and he's just a jealous person. That's why he founded his own company and then he made himself champion of his own company. Now, that is booking out in the 1980s when it comes to Jeff Jarrett. But that's for an entirely another video in a way. But I've rambled about that for far too long. So the next match is The Rock versus the British Bulldog. This is not one of Rock's best matches, nor is it one of Bulldog's best matches. But to be fair, Bulldog had a severely messed up back due to the whole thing from Fall Brawl 1998 involving the Ultimate Warrior's trap door and him landing wrong on a trap door that he didn't even know was there because WCW decided not to tell anybody about it. This is the injury that got the Bulldog hooked on all those painkillers that eventually led to his death 3 years later in 2002. That injury had a lot to do with this. So, Bulldog wasn't in the shape he was in at the height of the Attitude Era. And it shows. This isn't that good of a match. It's 1 star, Rock wins at the rock bottom people's elbow. So then we get the match that this show is remembered for. The tag team ladder match that is the finals of the best of 5 Terry Invitational Tournament. Now abbreviate that. Terry Invitational Tournament. Now abbreviate that and you get what this is. They paying $100,000, then the prize for winning this match is $100,000 and Terry Runnels managerial services. Well, if you look at the team that won, Terry didn't do anything for their career as a manager anyway. So this is kind of a pointless prize. This is just to give Terry something to do since Dustin went back to WCW and Terry decided to stay in the WWE. This was to give her something to do, essentially, because it's Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys, known as the Brood because they were with Gangrel. They're still the Hardy Boys, and that's what I'm going to call them as. This is a 4-star ladder match. Now, it's a good match, but it's not as good as what they could do. When you started integrating the Dudleys come WrestleMania 2000 and those triangle ladder match, WrestleMania 2000, plus the TLC matches that Edge and Christian, Hardys, and Dudleys had, is when these guys started doing their best work. But this was a precursor of what they could do with that kind of thing. In fact, what is now Jeff Hardy's most famous ladder spot, because it happened to break Joey Mercury's nose, is used in this match. There's the same spot that was at Armageddon 2006, involving Matt Hardy and Joey Mercury and Jeff Hardy, where Jeff jumped off the top rope, leg dropped the ladder went into both Matt and Joey, at that time Joey Mercury's face, it's used here on Matt Hardy, and I believe it's Christian. But when it happened in Armageddon in 2006, it happened to break Joey Mercury's nose. So it's a traditional Jeff Hardy spot that he did in the ladder, but, you know, finish eventually comes where Matt Hardy and Edge get knocked off the ladder. There's 2 ladders there. Matt Hardy and Edge get knocked off. Jeff Hardy goes over and decks Christian and is able to get the $100,000. Like I said, did Terry do anything for the Hardys in the long run? No. Not really. This was just to give her something to do. The Hardys made their own name without her. The Hardys made their own name without her once they got attached to the Dudley Boyz and Edge and with the Dudley Boyz with Edge and Christian and the Dudleys and the Hardys. That's what the Hardy Boys made their name out of. It had nothing to do with Terry. They're more known for when Lita was put with them after S.A. Rios left the company. So, this was really just to give Terry something to do since Dustin Rhodes left WWE. And she didn't go back to WCW. At least in my opinion, anyway. So then we get Mankind versus Val Venis. Yes, the Rock and Sock Connection had 2 separate matches with 2 opponents. Now, before this match, Rock comes out, cuts a promo, and he's assaulted by Triple H with a sledgehammer. Now, that's important because it's going to go into something later. It's going to go into something later. Okay? As far as this match between Mankind and Val Venis goes, it's 1.5 stars. It's better than Rock and Bulldog, but it's still not that great. The finish comes where Mankind's got the mandible claw on with Mr. Socko on Val, while Val's got a testicular claw with Mr. Rocco on Mankind, and Mankind goes down, falls on his back, and Val ends up covering him that way. Now, it was due to a lot of stuff that was worked on Foley's head, so it made sense about that, but it's just an odd finish. And this is probably the biggest feud Val Venis had was with Mankind, because after Mankind, he didn't really do anything with any major borderline main event player, so this is really the only, you could argue, borderline main event guy Val Venis worked with. Just think about this. At Survivor Series, in a Survivor Series elimination tag match, teaming with, I think, D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, Steve Blackman, and Gangrel, I believe. Then he became the European champion. And then he became the IC champ in the summer of 2000, and then joined Right to Censor. So, yeah, this is the highest Val Venis ever had to work with anything. So, yeah. Like I said, 1.5 stars. So then we get a 4-corner elimination match, which is actually not a bad match, as it's X-Pac versus Kane versus Farouk versus Bradshaw. And a very little touch of something I actually like, Bradshaw and Farouk come out together. They come out together instead of separately as a tag team, even though this is an every man for himself match, but they come out together. The Acolytes do fight in this match. Kane eventually chokeslams Bradshaw to eliminate him. Then X-Pac immediately eliminates Kane. Then him and Farouk have basically, X-Pac gets lucky because Farouk batters X-Pac. Farouk goes to the second rope, jumps off, and X-Pac catches him with the X-Factor to win the match. This whole thing was about X-Pac was trying to prove that he belongs in the quote-unquote world of the Giants. Because ever since he had been teamed with Kane, he started having to face people that were larger than him. Now, this, of course, led to the X-Pac Kane feud that went through to No Way Out of 2000. So, it's one of the better matches on this card. It's 2 stars. But it's not that great. That leads to the main event of the evening, a no-holds-barred match for the WWE Championship. A match that until Sunday Night Heat was not a no-holds-barred match, because in the storyline, Triple H was playing so many mind games of Austin that he basically got Austin hit so much he was convinced Austin would get disqualified. He was going to use that to basically get Austin disqualified. Well, Vince McMahon, because this was going to win, Vince was feuding with Triple H. This essentially made the match a no-holds-barred match so there could be no DQs. And this match doesn't even start in the ring. It starts outside. Austin uses a boom mic on Triple H. Mike Chioda gets bumped twice in this match. Once when they're coming, when Austin whips Triple H over the barricade and Triple H hits Chioda. And then a second time when Chioda's knocked off the apron, which Austin hits a stunner but gets a 2 when Earl Hebner comes in. So the finishing sequence of this match is The Rock comes in with a sledgehammer in hand. Presumably the sledgehammer Vince McMahon took away from Triple H at the beginning of the match. So Rock comes in with a sledgehammer, goes to hit Triple H, who ducks. Rock hits Austin with the sledgehammer. Triple H hits a pedigree, and then he pins Austin to retain the championship. Now this was setting up the triple threat match that never happened for Survivor Series of '99, when it was supposed to be Triple H, Austin, and Rock, in a triple threat match that never happened and we never got. That probably should have, with the 3 biggest stars of the Attitude Era at that time. And the reason it didn't happen, as I said on my Survivor Series review series last year, but in case you missed it, the reason it did not happen was Austin was too injured to compete that night, so he came up with that whole who ran Stone Cold over kind of deal. Kind of like who shot JR, but with a much stupider payoff. And arguably the death of one of the most, and arguably the end of one of the most over characters ever. Well, and Rikishi, but that'll probably be for No Mercy 2000 if I ever get around to reviewing that show. That's a 3-star match, though. So, the main event and the ladder match are the 2 matches worth watching on this show. Skip everything else. Out of 45 total stars, this show gets 15. I believe that would equate to a D plus. I believe that equates to a D plus show, because you'd have to get to at least 18 to be a C minus with me. So yeah, it's a D plus show, not a D minus. A D plus show gets the 2 matches. So this will be in my retro wrestling review playlist. If you like the video, like button is down there, subscribe button is down there, and thank you for watching. I'll have my review of Power Rangers Dino Charge episode 13 uploaded next Saturday, because it didn't air today because of the Nick's Worldwide Day of Play. So, thank you for watching. Bye.